Hey guys, I'm Thakur and welcome back to Newton School. I am an instructor here for Python and we are at the end of our Python playlist. We're just covering some of the built-in functions in Python that are available for you to use. In this video, we'll continue with that. We'll cover a few more functions. So let's get started with it. Before we go into the video, a quick introduction to Newton School. It is a platform which prepares you for your career in tech. So they have courses designed for freshers, for working professional, and also for women. With no tech background, they'll first train you for 6 months, help you become an amazing full stack developer, and they have a network of 300 great companies who hire from Newton School. So after the training is done, they'll ensure that you get placed with some of the best companies in the country. And the best part is that Newton School has a pay after placement program, so you don't have to pay anything until and unless you are placed with a minimum 5 lakh CTC. A little bit about the Launchpad Initiative. So it's taken by Newton School for people who want to start coding from scratch and learn the basics of different programming languages for absolutely free of cost. So this video would also be available in the Launchpad section of Newton School, where you can practice several quizzes and assignments related to this course. And what I'll do is I'll quickly go over to newtonschool.co. So if you do not already have an account, you can sign up. But since I already have one, I'll just log into my account. So this should take some time, and after you're logged in, go over to the playground, go down to algorithm playground, and you can create a new playground. It's really simple, type in the title and description. But I will just open an existing playground, and you'll have to select an editor, as in the compiler. So after you're done with that, you're ready to write down code. So the first function that I want to take up is the map function. So what the map function does is basically map function executes a specified function for each item in an iterable. So iterable is a sort of a list, and the item is sent to the function as a parameter. So let us say like there is a function check length, right? So this is our check length function, which takes in a parameter which could be like any value. Let's call it value for now, and it returns length len of that particular value. So this is like a simple function. We have covered the length function in a few previous videos, but basically what it does is anything passed to the length, it would return the length of that particular object, right? So you have this function defined, and let us say there is this name list. Which basically is like let's not call it list, but instead call it names, and it has this sort of a tuple, right? Which is Aditya, comma Aryan, comma Aman, right? So this is sort of a tuple that we have. And now how the map function works is basically you can type in map, and it takes in two parameters. One would be the function that you want to particularly map those values in, and the second would be this names tuple or the iterable that you are using. And let us just print x, right? Let's try running this once, and you're getting map object printed out to console. So what the hex function does is basically we have a variable called value, and if we'll type in hex bracket, pass in a number, let us say like 255, and if I go ahead and print this value, right? Let me run this program. So it should print out this 0xff to console. So the hex function converts the specified number into a hexadecimal value. So let us look up hexadecimal values. Right. and they have like 16 symbols or digital values 0 1 till f, and these are bit representations. So this is what a decimal to hexadecimal conversion looks like. And in Python you can use this hex function to convert a particular value to a hexadecimal value, and they'll have this suffix 0x in front of it. So the return string would always start with this prefix 0x. And the next function that I want to take up, which is on the similar grounds, is the oct function. So instead of using hex, let us use the oct function now. And this oct function, what it does is it converts an integer into an octal string. So octal strings are in Python are prefixed with the 0o. So as you can see, there is this prefix 0o. And let us also search for octal string, right? And you can see this sky table. So we'll have this octal values in front of them, as in 12 has 14 in front of it, and that is what we are getting. We have this prefix and then we have the value 14 in front of it. I don't know if it's visible to you. Let me just zoom in. Alright, this is the 12 and this is the 14 in oct table, and that is what you can refer to if you want any clarification. And this is the function that we use to convert certain values in Python to octal values. Then there are two more functions that we'll take up in this video. The first is the max function. So max function returns the largest number. How you can use it basically is there is this variable called max value. You can use the max function, pass in the numbers to it, like let us say there is 40 and there is 89, and if I now print out the max value, I should get the maximum of these two numbers. So the max function returns the item with the highest value in an iterable. If the values are strings, an alphabetical comparison is done. So if instead of using integer values, I were to say Aditya and Aman, right? And run this program again, what should happen is it should basically print out Aman, because it would check for A. Since A is similar, they both would remain same. Then there is D. Since M comes after D in the alphabetical order, Aman should be the maximum value and it should print it out to console. Now you can pass in any number of n values inside this function, like let us say 60, 30, 21, 24, 78, 43, and it would check for all these values and print out the maximum, which in this case would be 78. And that is what we are getting to console. So we can pass in one or more items, or we can pass in an iterable with one or more items to compare, and we should get that value. Similarly, there is this built-in function called minimum, which should check for the minimum value. Let me modify this function, minimum value, and also use it here. So if I'll run this program now, it should print out the minimum of the values, which is 21 in this case here. And that is how we use the max minimum. We saw how to convert into hex and octal values, and we also saw the length function. So we also have the print function, which basically we have used it a lot of times to print out certain values. So the print function prints the specified message to the screen or other standard output device, and the message can be string or any other object, and it will be converted into string before it's returned to the screen, right? So all the values will be converted to string before they are written. There are parameters, as we have seen. There is the sep parameter separator, which is used to specify the different objects. If there is more than one, the default is basically a space. The end parameter is optional. We can specify what to print at the end. The default is a new line, as in it changes to a new line, but we can choose to end it with a space if we do not want to go to the next line after two consecutive print statements. Like normally, if I were to type these two statements, they would be printed out two different lines on the screen. But what if I don't want to go to the next line? So I can specify the end value and make it a space and run this program again. And you should get the values printed out to the same line with the small space in between, which is coming from this end parameter. And there are other optional parameters like file and flush. File is an object with a write method, and default is system.standardout. There is also the flush, which is a boolean specifying if the output is flushed, true, or buffered, false, which is basically out of the scope of this video. So yeah, definitely look up these built-in functions because it is important to know what all is available to you that you can use. And definitely check out the other videos that we have made on the default functions. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe the channel to stay updated whenever we post a new video. And thank you so much for watching.